In this video, we want to talk about demonstrative pronouns, and that's really a new category of pronoun. And as you look at that word demonstrative, it looks like demonstrate, and that's what the demonstrative pronouns do. They demonstrate or point something out. And as you can see here in English, the pronouns are this, these, that, and those. And you may want to take a little note on this, even if you already know it. But this and these refer to things that are closer to the speaker. That and those refer to things that are farther away. They still point things out, but it's about which is closer and which is farther from the speaker. So let's take a look at the first of the demonstrative pronouns in Latin. We have hic, haec, hoc, which means this, these, and it can also mean he, she, it, or they. For example, you may be referring to this boy, and it may just make more sense to say he, or this girl, and it may make more sense to say she. So this pronoun can also mean those things. You want to set your chart up here with a singular and plural side. Notice we have masculine, feminine, and neuter columns underneath, and we have our cases down the side. As always, feel free to press pause as you need to, and then press play when you're ready to continue. And what you'll notice is a set of pronouns that really there's nothing we can say in terms of much of a pattern. You really just are going to have to memorize these. Going down the singular side, we have hic, haec, hoc, huius, 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 huic, 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 hunc, honk, hoc. And then here in the ablative, you notice hoc, hoc, hoc. We have a long mark or macron over those vowels. It's one of the few places that I require them in Latin, but that will help you to distinguish them from other things. Then over in the plural, we have he, hi, hike, horum, harum, horum, he's, he's for the dative, hos, hos, hike, and then he's again for the ablative. The next of the Latin demonstratives would be ille, illa, illud, and this is the one that means that or those, and also he, she, it, or they. Again, we've got our chart of pronouns, ille, illa, illud, ilius, 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 illi, 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 illum, illam, illud, illo, illa, illo. And again, I like to see that macron or that long mark over the ablative singular a to distinguish it from the nominative singular. Then over in the plural side, we have illi, illi, illa, illorum, illarum, illorum, illis, 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 illos, illas, illa, and illis, illis, illis. And one thing you may notice is that both with ille and hic, a lot of those forms did have endings that looked a lot like first and second declension. And that's certainly true. It's just that there are some other forms that seem a little bit irregular perhaps, and so really it is just best to memorize this chart. And then we have one more, and this is is, ea, id. And as I always like to say, it's just a little bit less specific than hic and ille. Is, ea, id can mean this or these, that or those, and he, she, it, or they. And we'll see this in an example coming up, but it's just not quite as strong and specific as the others. The Latin forms will look similar in some places to the forms of hic and ille. On the singular side, we have is, ea, id, eius, 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 ei, ei, eum, eam, id, eo, ea, eo. And again, the macron or long mark on that ablative a helps to distinguish it from nominative singular. On the plural side, we have ei, ai, ea, eorum, earum, eorum, eis, 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 eos, eas, ea, and eis, eis, eis. And then finally, I think it's our last, I was mistaken, our last of the demonstratives would be idem, eidem, idem. And this one simply means the same. And it's still a pointer word. For example, if you and your friend are standing in line to get something to eat, and your friend says, I'll have a hamburger and fries, you walk up to the counter and say, I'll have the same. So again, it's a pointer word. You're really pointing at whatever you're referring to. And the Latin forms you see here, idem, edem, idem, eusdem, 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 eidem, 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 eundem, eandem, idem, eodem, eadem, eodem. And then on the plural side, eidem, eidem, eadem, eorundem, 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 eisdem, 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 eosdem, eosdem, eadem, and eisdem, eisdem, eisdem. And again, you will probably notice that looks a lot like is, ea, id. It really does follow the pattern of is, ea, id. So we're going to do a little example here, and you really are going to want to take some time to copy this whole little bit of dialogue. It's really a story, and there's some dialogue here. So you want to copy this and then underline the demonstrative pronouns in the story. And so you'll notice you should have underlined the word eum in the second line of dialogue by the mater, along with illum and hunc in the last line of dialogue by the mater. And now take a moment to see if you can translate this. And I think this is really going to help make sense, especially in distinguishing among hic, ille, and is. And so you see here the mater, the mother, she starts off and she says, porta ad me librum. Carry a book to me, or carry the book to me. But she hasn't put anything specific with it. So maybe there's a whole bunch of books in the room and she just says, hey, carry a book to me. So, puer librum portat, the boy carries a book. Well, apparently it's the wrong one, because mater says, minime, porta librum eum. She says, no. And then she does give a little bit of specificity with eum. But it's not still 100% clear. It could mean carry this book, or it could mean carry that book. So the boy tries again. Puer secundum librum portat. The boy carries a second book. Now, mother gets really angry here, and I would say unreasonably so, because she has just not been clear enough in her directions. She says, minime, no. And then she says, porta librum illum, non librum hunc. Carry that book, not this book. And now she's gotten as specific as she can, using the forms of ille and hic. So remember, those two are the stronger demonstratives, and then forms of is, ea, id, just simply not as strong. And those are the demonstrative pronouns.